Hello, everyone, and welcome to another Baxter Student and Baxter Program webinar. Presenting for us today is Annabelle Lord, one of our BSAP finalists from Seneca College. Now, just before we get started, I'd like to let everyone know that if you have any questions at all during this presentation, feel free to type them into the Q&A box or the chat box, which are both found in your Zoom toolbar, and those questions will be answered after the presentation has finished. Hi, Annabelle. How are you today?
I'm doing good, thank you. And you?
I'm doing great, thanks. So Annabelle, since you're already sharing your screen with us, you can get started whenever you're ready.
Okay, awesome. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining me today. My name is Annabelle Lord from Seneca College, and I will be presenting today Israel, the land of creation. So first, I will begin by going over the agenda, which will be an overview of Israel, things to do and the top attraction, the target market, how to get there, accommodations, tour operators, getting around the destination, a spotlight on sustainable tourism, important information, and then the conclusion and an opportunity to ask questions. Israel is located in the Middle East, in the southeast of the Mediterranean Sea. It hosts 8.8 million people, despite being the smallest Middle Eastern country, spanning 8,630 square miles. Israel boasts a variety of landscapes, ranging from coastal plains in the east, a lush mountainous core and northern area, with valleys and an abundant fresh water supply in the west, to arid mosaic deserts in the south. There is something for everyone. Due to its subtropical to temperate climate, there are two seasons, April to October, which marks summer, adorning the northeasterly lands with long summer days and cool, rainy winters. In the southwest, however, the climate is a bit more harsh with hot, dry summers and heavier rainfall, with a bit of snowfall in the northwest. Israel's capital city is Jerusalem and is located in the northwest of the country, with the capital government seated there. However, the main airport, Ben Gurion, which most tourists will be arriving through, is located in Tel Aviv, the country's innovation and tech hub. The official language of Israel is Hebrew, with Arabic, Russian, and English being widely spoken. So for Canadian tourists who don't know how to speak Hebrew, they don't have to worry because English is integrated into Israel's education system, and about 62% of the population has basic to advanced English-speaking skills. The main religions are Jewish, which is the most prominent, Muslim, Christianity, and the Druze religion. With that being said, we know that Israel is the Holy Land. The currency for Israel is the Israeli new shekel, with an exchange rate of 1 Canadian to 2.59 Israeli shekels. Now, I will be taking you on a journey from the north of Israel, starting from the Galilee region, all the way to the southern tip, which is Eilat and Negev. I promise you that this journey will not take the 9 hours that it normally takes to get across the country. So I will be highlighting the main things to do and the must-see attractions that I discovered on my research on Israel. Starting with Galilee and Nazareth in the northern tip of Israel, we can see historical, religious, wellness sites where they feature hot springs, eco sites, wineries, fresh olive oil presses. One thing to note, there is an annual bird watching festival from November 22nd to November 28th. I believe that was in 2019. And it would take place in Hula Valley, which is pictured in the top left corner. Hula Valley is a beautiful, beautiful valley with abundant fresh water supply, and this is one of the main landing points for the migration of birds from the Syrian African Valley Rift. And If you have anybody who is interested in bird watching, this is the place to be during November, because about 500 million birds land in this area, and you get different rare species, and it's just a beautiful sight to see during that time. We also have Tiberias, which is Galilee Sea. You can go sailing there, and surrounded it is a lot of religious sites. So the Mount of Beatitude, Capernaum, etc., is all around that area, and you really get a feel of the religious importance of that area. Then we go to a few places of interest in Nazareth. You have Mount Precipice. There they found human remains from 100,000 years ago, so you can only imagine the kind of discoveries that are there. And if you can see from the picture here, there's a beautiful view of Nazareth in this area. You also have Nazareth Village. It's an open-air museum, and you get to see the life and time of Nazareth Village in the time of Christ and Mary. You also have the Church of Annunciation, which is said to be the site where Mary got that vision or that message from the angel Gabriel saying that she will be the mother of Christ. There is also a well featured here, which is the exact spot that she got that vision. Moving on to Heifer and Eka. This is on the northern coast of Israel. You get historical, religious sites, beaches, and water sports, surfing, which is really popular there. So a few places to really highlight is the Baye Gardens and Domes. It has 19 perfectly manicured terraces, and when you get to the top, you get to this beautiful gold dome, which is divided into 9 sections. It's outside, it has gold, and in the inside, it's covered in gold flowers, emeralds, and red mosaics. You also have Akos Harbor, which is one of the oldest harbors in the Middle East. You have the Citadel and Crusader Tunnels, which is part of a World Heritage Site. You really get to see the history and times of the Crusader and the Templar Knights. You have Caesarea, which shows Roman architecture, as well as Stella Marie's Monastery, which is the oldest monastery in the world. Moving on to Jerusalem, which is in the northeast of Israel, which shows historical sites, religious sites, and is famed for cuisine. There are 2 festivals which I found very interesting during my time of research. Is the Jerusalem Festival of Lights, which takes place in June. So during that festival, lights is displayed on the different religious and cultural sites. It's very beautiful. And there's also the Israeli Festival, which takes place in June 4th to 20th this year. And it really showcases Israeli arts, from music to the actual arts itself, food, etc. So in Jerusalem, we have the Dome of the Rock, which is really symbolic to the Muslim culture. This is where Muhammad was said to have ascended. We also have the Holy Church of Sepulchre, which is also the point for Christians, where Jesus was said to be crucified and buried in this area. We have the Western Wall, or the Wailing Wall, which draws many people from around the world, especially the Jews, the Jewish religion. And this place is where people come to recite their prayers. And sometimes what they do, they write it on the paper and they put it in the cracks of the wall, open for their prayers to be answered. You also have the Mount of Olives, a great place where a lot of biblical events happen, and Old Jerusalem City, where you can really immerse yourself in the culture of Jerusalem and Israel. Moving on to the White City, Tel Aviv. It's on the East Coast. It's bordered by the Mediterranean Sea. Here you can find nightlife, beaches, cuisine, shopping, and it's a great cultural site. It is also the innovation and tech capital of Israel. One festival here that I think was really interesting to me is the Midburn Festival. So here there's actually no stages or anything. It's really just people expressing themselves through art, different things. A lot of the stalls are artistic expression. It takes place in October, and it's the closest part of the Negev Desert to Tel Aviv. Places of interest in Tel Aviv, I would definitely say Carmel markets. I'm a huge foodie. So when I saw this market with the aromatic spices, the array of colorful fruits and vegetables, organically grown, the clothing, the electronics, everything here, I thought that would be a great place to stop for you to get some really authentic things from Israel. Then you have Nev Tizdek, which is on the top right here. If you have someone who wants to do luxury shopping, definitely I would say that is the place to be, as there's a lot of fashion designer boutiques in that area, handicrafts, jazz lounges, and cocktails. And this is normally the starting point for persons who want to enjoy the nightlife before going on to Rothschild Boulevard. You have Jaffa Port, which is the oldest port in the world, and it is also said to be the port where Jonah, from the biblical story Jonah and the whale, started. You have Tel Aviv Museum for contemporary and classical arts, and you also have the Yarkon Park, which has a lot of recreational facilities. It has a water park, the Yarkon River runs through it, and you also have concerts happening there. So definitely a great place to see in Tel Aviv. Finally, we have gotten to Eilat. The Negev is definitely not the least. It's in the southern tip of Israel. It has historical sites, wellness sites. It's great for adventure, agriculture. It boasts beaches and resorts. One thing to also note, just like in Galilee, where you have the Hula Valley, you also have a bird festival here in Eilat. This one, however, takes place in March to mid-April. So in Hula Valley, you have the birds going down, and then in Eilat, you have them coming up. So definitely a prime place for anybody interested in bird watching. So, of course, we have to feature the Dead Sea, which is known for its unique healing properties. It is the lowest point on the earth. There are a lot of resorts in this area. It's beautiful, just a great place to connect with nature. Then you have Masada, which is also a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It is an ancient city on top of a mountain, great place to see the views. You can get up there using a cable car, or if you're really feeling adventurous, you can hike up. There's also the Mitz Ramon Historic Center, great place to see the canyon and a great starting point if you want to do mountain biking in the Maktesh crater, or hiking as well. You also have one of the great beaches in the Dead Sea, which is the Ein Jaina, which has a lot of activities there. There's a spa resort, and you also have Beersheba, which is an archaeological site where you get to uncover a lot of the history. So now that we're done with our journey, who should be going to Israel? I would definitely say a culture and history buff, somebody that really wants to divulge in the culture, know the history of the place, authentic traveler, somebody who is a free spirit. They really want the taste of adventure. They want to go to an exotic place. You have a free spirit person who wants to divulge in the nature, the culture of the place, and really have it as a personal development experience. I would say foodies, there's a wide range of foods. There's a really popular Japanese restaurant there, and it is actually the vegan capital of the world. So it has no shortcomings when it comes to food. I would say for families, because of its unique position in the market, that it offers a place for young persons, well, the modern person looking for that nightlife and resort atmosphere. And also you have persons who really want to divulge in culture and history. You have that traditional part. It definitely can sell for a wide range of individuals and a wide range of ages, which is why I think that it would be good for families. So how do we get there? There are airlines that have direct flights into Israel from Air Canada, United Airways, WestJet, Swiss Airlines, Aeromexico, Lufthansa, British Airways, amongst others. There are currently 4 flights to Israel daily by Air Canada from Toronto, and flights leave daily from Toronto, London, Montreal, Vancouver, and Calgary. So definitely a lot of options to get to Israel. The flight time from Toronto is about 10.25 hours, and then from further places can range between 12 to 14 hours, which is not too bad. And then you have tour operators in that area. You have travel brands, Globus, Cosmos, Colette. They offer several tours from biking, pilgrimage tours, religious, cuisine, archaeological, cultural, ecotourism. The tours range from 2 to 12 days. You can also get a day tour. The price ranges from $800 to $2,900. And there's also a very interesting opportunity to get a tour into Petra, which is in Jordan, very, very great site, and Cairo to see the pyramids. So you can always encompass the bordering nations for you to get a really full trip of the Middle East. Then for a typical full country trip, I would say 7 to 8 days would be a great time. You spend a few days in the different areas, experience the different things that Israel has to offer. Definitely that would be the best time for you. If you want a more extensive trip, 12 to 14 days, which are also offered by the tour operators. For accommodations, you have hotels, hostels, hosted stays. You can stay with a family. Campsites, more commonly in the Negev Desert. Field schools, more for educational purposes, and there are Airbnbs available. In terms of getting around, you can get a car, a private car, or you can get what they call a sherut, which is a shared car. There's shared car or taxi. There's stations in various areas around the cities like Tel Aviv. You can also do public transportation, trains and public bus, which is one of the best ways to get around, cost effective. And when you do that, what you would need is a RAV cab, which is shown right here. It's comparable to the Canadian Presto. Another option, if you don't want to leave your carbon footprint, would definitely be biking. There are about 2,000 bikes available in Tel Aviv, 180 stations, so definitely convenient to get it. And it will be a great way to explore the city. So now I'll be giving you a spotlight on sustainability. The first thing that I will be talking about is the kibbutz and green accommodation. The kibbutz is a traditional Israeli community based mainly around agriculture. So what you will do there, you find cheaper accommodations, but you'll be staying in a sustainable place. So for instance, the Lotan, which is right here, the Lotan kibbutz offers accommodations in mud huts, and there you will learn to do organic farming. You will learn how to make the mud huts yourself. In terms of green accommodations, which is widely accessible in Israel, these accommodations, they really focus on sustainable practices in their daily operations. You also have eco parks. This Ariel Sharon Park really stood out to me. It was really amazing what they did. It's actually in Tel Aviv, and before it was a dump site. That's where they disposed of most of the garbage. Then they turned it into a park where you can go to the visitor center, learn about it, relax, have a good day. But it also doubles as a source of renewable energy because the biogas from the dump site is now used to pump, I believe it's the textile factory there. There's also the solar park, which is based in Negev Desert, which I find is really interesting. You also have the eco-volunteer programs, which, as it says itself, you volunteer, they provide you with room and food, and you really come to work hard and really be part of the culture, do the farming, the irrigation systems, everything. You learn about all these things. There's also what you call the green seal. The green seal is mainly for restaurants, and it says to the customer, I am treating my my staff well and make accommodations to disabilities. So great way to be ethical in your choices for restaurants. And like I mentioned before, the bike share program, which is really popular and a great way to travel around the cities. So moving on, very important information that you need to know before and during your time in Israel. No visa is required for Canadians. You only need your passport valid for 6 months after the departure. There are no mandatory vaccinations, but because of Corona, based on your passport or where you've come from, you might be stopped and screened. For consular services, there are consular services in Tel Aviv and representation in Jerusalem. In terms of in Canada itself, there is an embassy for Israel in Toronto itself, so that'd be a great place to start looking for information on Israel before you leave. One thing to note about security, there is a great military presence and there are security checks. So it's nothing really to be afraid of. It's just for the protection and security of the citizens and tourists alike. They would ask you a few questions and you just go about your day, enjoy your holiday. And then you would have one thing that really is important is the observance of Shabbat. And that takes place between Friday sundown to Saturday sunset. It's really important that that is considered when planning the trip because a lot of public transportation, stores, government agencies, they're not open during that time because they really take that observance seriously. My recommendation definitely for that time would be to really have your guests participate in Shabbat, see what a traditional dinner is like, and just really immerse themselves in the culture. Would be a great way to start if you're coming on a Friday or Saturday. Mode of dress is casual. However, in religious sites, you need to cover up and be mindful about taking pictures. There is a VAT refund office, and you can find out eligibility on Ministry of Tourism. There are currency exchange offices all over. Major credit cards are accepted. ATMs are accessible and Canadian is accepted, but the exchange rate, if you go in to a vendor, will be a little bit higher. So I would recommend the ATMs or the credit cards. So in conclusion, I feel like based on my research, Israel caters to a diverse clientele. There are many types of attractions in one destination. You definitely will not get bored. You'll have a lot to do. It is family friendly. The experience leaves you more cultured and rejuvenated, which I believe a lot of Canadians are looking for, a place to unwind from the busy life. And it's a convenient place to travel because you have a lot of ways to get there. You have a lot of ways to get around and a lot of accommodation options that makes the destination convenient. So these are a few of my resources that I use and I think would be helpful in gaining more information on Israel. Thank you so much, everyone, for your attention. If anybody has any questions, I would be happy to answer as I can.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Annabelle.
Thank you.
So we'll open it up for questions now, and those can be submitted to the Q&A box or the chat box. And if anyone here in the room with me has a question, I will put them on the line.
Hi, Annabelle. My name is Ian Stalker, and I work with Dan. Israel is the smallest country, as you know. What do you think, how long should people consider visiting it for? Do you think a week is adequate, or?
I think definitely if you just want to get a taste of Israel, 7 to 8 days would be good. There are a lot of tours that offer great sites during that time. But if you really want to delve into it, I would say a bit longer, maybe 12 days would be good. But 7 to 8 would be adequate if you really just want to get a sense of what Israel is like.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you, Annabelle.
Thank you.
Annabelle, what was the biggest challenge you faced when preparing for this webinar presentation?
I feel like the biggest challenge was trying to choose the things to highlight. I found out so many interesting things about Israel. Honestly, I was overwhelmed with the amount of information. I really did not know that this destination had so much to offer. So it was very difficult for me to pick and choose what I should say, what I should put, what should really be highlighted. Of course, when you go on the site, you will see a lot of things saying these are the top attractions, but then I really saw some hidden gems like the Hula Valley Bird Festival, which I didn't really see much, and these kind of things. That was the difficulty for me, trying to figure out what should really be highlighted, because there's so many things to do.
Great, thanks, Annabelle. Okay, I do believe that's it for the submitted questions today, but I would like to thank everyone that tuned in on the webinar today. Thank you all for taking time out of your day, and Annabelle, thank you so much for presenting for us.
Thank you so much.
On behalf of Baxter Media, we thank you for your great presentation, and we'd like to thank you for participating in the 2020 Baxter Student Ambassador Program. We'll be in touch. Oh, and Annabelle, if you're still on the line, we do have one more submitted question from Ed. Are you still on the line with us? Great.
I'm still on the line.
Oh, excellent. So he asked, what cuisine favorites are offered and types of specialty restaurants to the diverse population for tourists?
Could you repeat the first part of the question, please?
Yes. What cuisine favorites are offered and types of specialty restaurants?
Okay, so what I noticed is people are really into the street food, so like the falafel and the shawarma. It's really good with vegetarian food. There are a lot of vegetarian options there. And I did research that there was this particular Japanese restaurant that was famous. I can't remember the name of it right now, but Japanese cuisine apparently is actually popular there.
Oh, fantastic. Thank you. Well, Annabelle, I'd like to once again thank you so much for participating for us. And it was great to have you participating in the 2020 Baxter Student Ambassador Program.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.